Welcome to the Mobile Bay, an Alabama port that lays claim to a very rich U.S. history. From Fort Condé in downtown Mobile, which has flown the flags of 4 different countries since its construction in 1723, all the way down to Dauphin Island, home of the historic Fort Gaines, a key site in the famous Battle of Mobile Bay. Mobile is also home of the Alabama Deep Sea Fishermen's Rodeo, an 87-year-old tournament that honors the pastime of the sport as well as the livelihood of commercial fishing for many in the area. Just down the road, southern speak for about 20 miles, is the future site of Homestead RV Community and its designer-developer, Ed O. Bridgman of EOB Consulting.
These three sites over here, they face the pond, okay? 2 of them on that side of the spillway and 1 of them on this side of the spillway, and then everything else is
backseat.
Ed has traveled the country consulting businesses on how to create value and maximize profit, and is not only an expert of the RV industry, but he's showing people how they can do it for themselves by creating the most technological RV community in the world, leading a century-old industry through the process of digital transformation.
In 2017, the average new RV sold for $109,000. People looked outside the window and they said, I want to use that RV more than 2 weeks out of the year. So I need a place to go. 53% of people that go on an RV trip go less than 50 miles. EOB Consulting is about identifying those trends, those housing trends in America, and satisfying or exceeding the customer's expectation. Remember, this is a real estate transaction, and the laws of real estate have not changed in over 30 years. The 3 rules about real estate is location, location, location. That's what we do, is help you identify how to maximize the value of your land.
That is why the Mobile area is a great place to start with all its outdoor activities and attractions. With many sights to see, sometimes the best way to get the lay of the land is by water. And our friends at Airboat Express are happy to oblige with a tour of the Mobile Delta for a rare and unique view at some of the local wildlife.
Roughly, they mate for life unless one of those mates gets killed in some way, shape, or form.
When it comes to designing and building multi-million-dollar properties, Ed is constantly thinking about building for tomorrow. And when it comes to creating a vision, it takes a good general contractor to make the dreams come to life.
I have the big picture in my mind. I want to be state-of-the-art. I want to be the most technologically advanced RV community in the world. I want to have huge sites. I want to be clean and appeal to that most discerning RV owner. Rick is the gentleman who takes that vision, hires the subcontractors, and brings that to life. Rick is the detail man that complements my big picture.
Ed's vision is to have the most technological advanced RV community in the world. And he shared that vision with me, and that's our goal, and that's what we're going to make it.
He has owned this property for over 7 years, but the last several months of progress has allowed the vision to be seen.
Homestead RV Community is leapfrogging the current technology. I have hired a company to develop the software that will read each electric meter individually at each site and charge them for the electrical use that they use. I'm also doing that for water. So I have electric meters, I have water meters. I'm able to read them electronically, wirelessly, back at the office. My software automatically calculates and figures that into their bill so that I can keep my rates at a lower rate. Also, there are other RV places that are putting plexiglass between the guest and the worker. You don't even have to go to my office. You can download Homestead RV Community on an app on your phone right now, and you can do all of your contracts, all of your waivers, all of your signatures can be done through the reservation software or through the app. All communications are already done electronically. You never need to go to the office.
Through the app, visitors will be able to order everything from camping furniture to a personal therapeutic hot tub. Talk about forward thinking. When we come back, we will be digging into our first 2 case studies here on A Place to Call Home.
As an electrical engineer, I tell everybody that my first language is not English, okay? I do hypergraphics and data points and spaghetti diagrams. That's how I prefer to talk. In 2019, more millennials purchased RVs than baby boomers. The trends are that people are moving away from brick and mortar homes. People need to be able to work where they live, and they need to be able to live where they choose to vacation. So you've got to have high-speed internet, you've got to have larger sites, you've got to have larger concrete pads for people to park on. That's the future. That's the direction that we're moving in America.
As a project manager and consultant with EOB Consulting, Ed's day-to-day is breaking down the 4 types of RV industry utilization properties to landowners and investment groups alike, providing insight to real estate projects that can be fairly large in scope.
RV parks and RV campgrounds have been around for 100 years. RV parks are along the interstate. They're a place for people to regenerate, for the driver to get some gas, to get some food, to take a break when he's going from home to the campground. The campground is across the street from Disney World or across the street from a national park. That's the destination, but the entertainment is nearby. When you develop an RV resort, you have got to provide the entertainment. You've got to provide the amenity that makes people want to come to your RV resort. But they don't have to be right on the highway. What we're building here is Homestead RV Community. We have to provide the exact same amenities that you would want in your own community at home. We have to provide a safe place, quiet, casual lifestyle, high-speed internet. The smallest RV site here at Homestead is 40 foot wide and 82 foot long. That's larger than a lot of people have for a front yard.
The progress at Homestead moves forward under budget and ahead of schedule, so Ed has time to meet with a new client about a 5th type of property. Another beautiful morning on the bay, and it's a quick drive to the other side. Ed is meeting with the property owner of a 32-acre parcel of land on the north side of Orange Beach city limits. The lot owner, Michael, is seeking consultation about converting his unutilized land into a profit-making property by creating a boat and RV storage facility.
Mr. Gray.
Hey Ed, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
My name is Michael Gray, and I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I'm a boater. I like anything to do with the outdoors. One thing that I've noticed about Orange Beach is that the storage facilities is underbuilt. And we have a new boat launch coming here. There's tremendous growth in the boating and RV world, and all those units have to be stored somewhere. And this is going to be the perfect place to do it.
Boy, you have a beautiful property here, just gorgeous.
Well, thank you, Ed. I thought this would be a great spot for some RV and boat storage.
I believe you're correct. Well, my initial impression with Michael's property is that he really did a good job in locating and purchasing a wonderful location. We have the Beach Express Highway on this side. Access to the Beach Express Highway is going to be wonderful, but limiting in the fact that people have to go south. So having the opportunity to go to Roscoe Road, where you can go north and south, makes this just a fantastic location.
They've announced that they're going to build a RV park. It's going to be a high-end resort, several hundred RV spots. And also less than a quarter a mile from here is another high-end RV resort. And then the boat launch that's being built by the city and by the state is less than a quarter mile. Really, really big, 30-acre facility.
30 acres, how many slots are they gonna have?
I've heard, Ed, it's gonna be 12 double launches, so that would be
Wow.
24 with 500 parking spots. It's gonna be big.
And this is the closest boat and RV storage location to that facility.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This is going to be a no-brainer. I've made some preliminary drawings here just to get a lay of the land, just to get some understanding. You do have a little bit of wetland to mitigate down here, but we can deal with that. And what about these pine trees? What would you like to work around them, or are they okay to sacrifice?
They're gonna need to go.
I know you have 32 acres here. How many acres do you want to commit to this project?
That's just something we'll have to explore. I mean, anything from a portion of it to all of it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, with the feasibility analysis, I'll be able to find that break point between the cost of construction and the potential return on investment over a 10-year period.
Aside from the boat launch and RV resorts across the street, Orange Beach is chock full of attractions, outdoor activities, and water sports. From parasailing to a harbor tiki cruise, fun and adventure awaits for anyone seeking. And with the surge in the RV industry, Michael's property just may be the perfect location for boat and RV storage.
I bought this property almost 2 years ago, and just almost immediately after I purchased the property, I began to run into roadblocks. And I was hit with processes that I was unfamiliar with, mitigation and delineation and wetlands. I had the idea, but I kind of felt overwhelmed. My gut feeling tells me that there is a great demand for boat and RV storage. Will it be profitable? Will you get a return on your investment in a reasonable amount of time?
The first thing we've got to do is to handle the wetland mitigation so that we can submit to the Corps of Engineers and understand exactly what it is that they're going to allow us to do. We're going to submit to be able to use the entire property. They will come back. It will be a type of negotiation. The next thing we need to do in parallel with that is to identify how many buildings we're going to want to build, the size of those buildings, where they're going to be located, so that we can submit the permitting process to both the City of Orange Beach and Baldwin County. We need to get that started right away, so that once we have our permit, once we have our wetland mitigation, we can start moving dirt immediately.
To keep in mind the types of RVs Michael might be storing, we turn to our friends at Camping World, who were happy to give us a tour of the different classes of RVs. From bumper pull pop-out and toy hauler to full-size living in a fifth wheel complete with all the bells and whistles, Class E motorhomes to full-blown Class A motor coaches, the possibilities are endless. When we come back, Ed heads to Bon Secure for some fresh shrimp and brings along his thinking cap
I have a problem.
Okay.
on A Place to Call Home.
My partner, Ron Stewart, and I are realtors with Kaiser Sotheby's International Realty in Gulf Shores, down in South Baldwin County. Our client asked us to try and find the highest, best use for the property. And we're looking forward to Ed doing a financial analysis on the project to see what maybe we can do that will maximize the value of the property for the owner.
Mr.
Ed,
Stewart?
I'm Ron Stewart.
Nice to meet you,
Well, it's a
sir.
pleasure to know you. My card?
My card too.
I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad I found you because I have a problem.
Okay.
And the problem is that this piece of property, which consists of about 108 acres, as you'll see in a little while, was originally started to be developed as an RV park. And it was going to be 370 sites. And as you can see, it's not complete.
Okay.
We've had it listed for a number of months, and the complaint we get is, tell me what it would cost to complete it and what type return on investment that would be. And I'm looking for someone who can take this property and show it on paper to a financial person, and you've got the experience and you're doing your own. Therefore, you're not only talking the talk, but you're walking the walk. And that's what intrigued me.
Well, we can reduce the risk to the investor by answering those questions for him of what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take, and what his return on investment might be over the next 10 years. We'll work out a financial plan with a cash flow analysis over the next 10-year period.
That's what I'm looking for.
That's exactly what we do.
I'd like to show you this property. Could we do it?
We can do it.
Let's go do it.
I'm excited to see it.
All right.
My initial assessment of this property is that it lends itself very well to the RV community. We've already talked about the 4 different destinations. This is an RV community where its location is less than a mile from the bay, less than a mile to Billy's Seafood and the Tin Top Restaurant, and Bon Secure. This is a destination that people will want to travel to, leave their boats close to where they can put it in the water, and live in Mobile, live in Birmingham, Montgomery, something like that, Pensacola, come down here for the weekends.
As you can see, the road beds have been laid out, but there's not any foundation work that's been done under them that I understand. And we've got a maintenance barn that was built over here, which is got a roof, and that's it. And then in front of us is another one of the ponds.
How many ponds are on this property?
It's a total of 4, I think. And another feature that's so unusual, there is a cemetery on this property.
Okay.
And we had to provide a right-of-way to the cemetery. And none of my buddies, we've not crawled in there yet. We'll get fairly close to it, but there is a cemetery here. 108 acres is a lot of acreage, and 370 sites is a lot of sites. But when you mentioned earlier about maximizing profit,
exactly,
then I'm curious as to whether we could expand the number and see if we could get some more on without disturbing that permit, because that is so critical. That's what's going to make this thing valuable to somebody, is that existing permit.
That'll save a lot of time. Return on your investment a lot faster by not having to reapply for that permit. In order to maximize the value of this property and modernize the design, there's going to have to be some tweaking without breaking that permit. The next steps in this project will be to do an extensive competitive analysis and understand what is the demand for this area. The investors want to know, what's it going to cost to construct, how long is it going to take to construct, and when can we get a return on our investment?
While Ed does his research of the local Bon Secure area, we're going to head back and check out attractions close to Homestead. Just a stone's throw away is Salt Air Water Park. When it opens in 2021, the park will offer a lake and over 4.5 miles of canals in the Mobile Bay waterfront. And the historic Bellingrath Gardens, a 68-acre garden estate established in 1932 by Walter and Bessie Bellingrath as a botanical garden. Walter Bellingrath was the Coca-Cola distributor for the Mobile region for over 50 years, and the property was originally his fishing camp.
Bessie Bellingrath turned her husband's fishing camp into a garden estate, starting with bringing flowers down to the fishing camp. She said, if I'm going to have to spend time down there, I'm going to have it looking nice. On the other hand, Walter Bellingrath used to joke, look what a wife will do to a perfectly nice fishing camp. Walter Bellingrath was no gardener. It was Mrs. Bellingrath who loved flowers. And she ordered a large collection of roses to be brought down here, but the architect whom they'd hired to design the rose garden had been fired. He was over budget and behind schedule. So Walter Bellingrath was standing where the rose garden is today when the truckloads of roses came, and the foreman asked him, where do you want us to plant these roses? And he turned to look at Mrs. Bellingrath, and she said basically, well, you fired the architect, you tell him where to plant them. So with pure insight and luck, he happened to be a member of the Rotary Club of Mobile, so he pulled out his lapel pin of the Rotary emblem, and that's why our rose garden is in the shape of a rotary wheel.
The gardens are open year-round and receive over 150,000 annual visitors, a third of that in the month of December alone. Homestead is beginning to take shape. Although Ed had to cancel his groundbreaking ceremony because of COVID-19, that didn't stop the progress. And it's time to celebrate after we check back on our other two projects.
Appreciate you taking time out of your morning to come in and celebrate with us.
Here on A Place to Call Home. We are just a couple weeks away from the celebration of progress, and homestead construction is full steam ahead with individual slabs being poured. Under budget and ahead of schedule is always something to celebrate. Progress has also been made on the two consulting projects, and analysis reports are ready. First stop is Bond Secure, the 108-acre property that is mid-development for a 370-site RV resort with established road base and multiple lakes.
It's been really interesting to work with the ponds, and the roadway is already established. It's just an absolutely beautiful piece of property. The Baldwin County area is just blowing up. It was very easy to get a lot of competitive analysis prepared. We're going to be able to utilize the land and make some really beautiful premium sites that they didn't even think about before. This has been so much fun to work with Ron and Bart on this property. They have decided to start showing it to investors because of the potential to immediate return on their money. We've made a half a dozen different presentations to 3 different investment groups. 2 of these groups have shown a great deal of interest and are actually bidding against each other right now to purchase this property. Both groups have asked me to be the project manager to help them get from the raw land stage that they're at now to the finished product. So I'm rooting for either one of them to get it because it's a win-win-win for us.
The goal was to create a plan that maximized land utilization as well as potential profits. And Ed delivered in spades, adding 47 sites and gaining the interest of multiple investment groups with negotiations in progress. Next stop is Michael's RV and boat storage project near Orange Beach and the Intracoastal Waterway.
We've already submitted the wetland mitigation to the Corps of Engineers, and we're waiting for their feedback. We have 3 different alternatives that we are considering, one being 28 acres of development, and that would have approximately 400 storage units available. And then another one is slightly smaller, and another one is slightly smaller, depending on how the Corps tells us what we are able to do in the first phase. We're ready to move forward as soon as we get the permitting completed and the wetland mitigation completed, because every day that we're not open, Michael's losing money.
What I've learned through the process that Ed's taught me is that dealing with permits, the government, Corps of Engineers, mitigation is going to take time. I think realistically, 18 to 24 months, you're going to see a state-of-the-art boat and RV storage that everyone in Orange Beach is going to want to store their property at.
Projects of this scale and nature can take years to develop, and we can honestly say that with these 2 very different projects, they are on good footing for success, and we look forward to checking back as they progress. The Homestead crews finalize all they can for the Celebration of Progress ceremony. They are well on schedule to open fall of 2020, so celebration is in order. A dream that took 9 years to realize will soon be a place to call home for many generations to come.
We wanted to have a groundbreaking ceremony in March when we broke ground, but because of COVID, we were unable to do so. We have been pouring site pads, we have been preparing roads, we've got our pond made, we're building buildings, we're in the pavilion today, we've got the maintenance shed up, we're working on the office at the same time. We are going 100 miles an hour, and now we are ahead of schedule, and we're actually below budget. So because of that, we want to have a little celebration. We have the county commissioners out here, the Chamber of Commerce in charge of tourism. B&R Campers has set up a campsite for us to demonstrate. We've got solo serve stoves, we've got soft tub, therapeutic jetted hot tubs, we got CGI chairs. We can show you that we are ready to go. We're celebrating, we can't be more excited, looking forward to everything.
After 6 months, we take a look back at our first 2 case studies. Michael Gray's boat and RV storage is still awaiting final word from the Army Corps of Engineers concerning the wetland mitigation. As of now, we know that 2 of 3 of the plans Ed set out are feasible to move forward, and we are ready to break ground as soon as the final assessment comes in. The Bond Secure Plantation is currently in the middle of legal protocols between the current and future owners of the property. That project will be ready to move forward once the dust settles, and we look forward to checking back as this project progresses. EOB Consulting's flagship homestead RV community is alive and well and looking to a bright future.
Homestead RV Community started taking reservations in December of 2020. We received our certificate of occupancy the second week of February in 2021. We are now in the first week of April 2021, and I'm proud to say that during March we were able to cover all of our operating expenses with the revenue generated at Homestead RV Community. Everything is moving smoothly and we're filling up. We're taking reservations now for July 4th of 2022.
On our next episode of A Place to Call Home, we will explore a couple of new projects acquired by EOB Consulting in both Texas and Mississippi. We will also be breaking ground on a new project on the other side of Foley Beach Expressway, where Ed will be designing another RV destination.
The only thing left to do now is to enjoy the great Mobile, Alabama Bay, and it's beautiful. Starting to have too much fun with you, Terry.
That just made the edit.
If you are a property owner or thinking about potentially investing in a project property, contact EOB Consulting at ed@eob.name, and you could be featured in a future episode. Special thanks to Bellingrath Gardens, Airboat Express, Billy's Seafood, Camping World, and the Park at Awa. You can follow future developments for A Place to Call Home at Facebook and at homervc.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on A Place to Call Home.